Hi, I'm Kari Peterson. Welcome to episode 4 of Her Game, Her Voice, the podcast where I amplify the voices shaping the game of women's basketball, both on and off the court. Let's go back to the Stanford campus this week and check out more content from my basketball masterclass with Tara Vanderveer. Because we're still in the midst of March Madness, I thought I'd share some highlights from a class session called The Road to the Final Four. Not gonna lie, I considered popping a Xanax before this class. I have a lot of big, scary feelings about Stanford's past Final Fours. Some wounds never heal. My wife, being the voice of reason, reminded me that combining Xanax with post-foot surgery painkillers was a bad idea. So I went in stone cold sober. Gulp. We started a deep dive into Stanford's Final Four history. Fun fact, they've made 15 Final Four appearances and won 3 championships, 1990, 1992, and 2021. Tara brought in 3 incredible guest speakers. We started with Val Whiting. Val was part of the 1990 and 1992 championship teams. And she's still Stanford's all-time leading rebounder. Val is basically a Stanford women's basketball living legend. Then we heard about Stanford Final Four experiences from Jane Appel. Jane holds the record of the 3rd highest scoring game in NCAA tournament history. She scored 46 points in a game against Iowa State. We also heard from Jeanette Poland. Jeanette went to 4 Final Fours with Stanford and never won a championship. Cue the sad trombone. Jeanette is now an assistant coach for Stanford women's basketball. Hearing Val, Jane, and Jeanette's stories was a reminder of just how special and grueling the journey to the Final Four is. Just getting to the Final Four is a huge feat in and of itself. But of course, as a player, and speaking for myself as a fan, it's a lot more fun when you can win it all. Yay! And now it's time for a little story. This one is about my first trip to the Final Four with Stanford in 1995. The Final Four was in Minneapolis that year, and Stanford was playing UConn in one of the semifinal matchups. Picture this. My friends Annie, Karen, and I had seats across from the Stanford bench, right in front of a swarm of UConn fans. And they were obnoxious. Obnoxious like elevator music, and it's Nickelback on repeat. Stanford lost to UConn 87-60, and the UConn fans, they let us know it. By the end, we were so over it we considered leaving Minneapolis early. But we stayed, and thank Pat Summitt we did. We sat next to the obnoxious UConn fans as the Tennessee Lady Vols took down UConn in the final. There's nothing like the taste of sweet, sweet revenge.
Yes!
That 1995 trip burned 2 truths into my basketball-loving soul. 1, experiencing the Final Four live is magical. And 2, UConn fans are the worst. And now it's time for the awards section of our show. First, the Buzzer Beater Award. This week, the Buzzer Beater Award goes to the Alabama and Maryland women's basketball teams. When 5-seeded Alabama and 4-seeded Maryland faced off Monday night for a spot in the NCAA Sweet 16, I expected a competitive game, but wow, this one blew my expectations out of the water. It was the most intense and thrilling game of the women's tournament so far. The teams traded baskets all night, with barely any breathing room between them. Fast-paced, high stakes, and fiercely competitive. But here's what made it special. Despite the pressure, both teams played with class. More than once, an Alabama player helped a Maryland player off the floor, and vice versa. Mutual respect even in a game this intense? That's a class act. And you gotta think that kind of sportswomanship, yes, I said it, starts at the top with the coaches. Christy Curry, Alabama's head coach, and Brenda Fries, head coach of Maryland, are coaching veterans. who deserve serious credit for the powerhouse programs they've built. On the court, Alabama's Sarah Ashley Barker was unstoppable, dropping a career-high 45 points with 8 rebounds. Meanwhile, Maryland brought balance with 4 players scoring in double figures. And then, double overtime. In the end, the 4-seeded Maryland Terrapins edged out Alabama 111 to 108. That combined total of 219 points, it's the second highest scoring game in women's NCAA tournament history. A legendary showdown and a well-deserved buzzer beater award for both teams. You can still stream the game online, and I highly recommend that you do. And now, the Airball Award. This week, the Airball Award goes to the Golden State Valkyries Expansion Draft Press Conference. Okay, I know I'm rewinding the clock a bit for this one, but trust me, it's worth it. What happened at the Golden State Valkyries Expansion Draft Press Conference? They featured rapper E40 as one of their announcers. What? He's a Bay Area legend and a courtside staple at Warriors games. But at a women's basketball event? At first, things seemed fine. They had pro golfer, San Francisco's own Michelle Wie, kick off the announcements. A golfer? Weird flex, but okay, at least she has Bay Area ties. They also brought in former Warrior Baron Davis, and hey, at least he played for the Golden State franchise. But E40? Really? I'm not saying he doesn't love basketball, but this was a golden opportunity to spotlight a woman, and they totally whiffed it. Is there another female Bay Area sports legend that could have helped out with the announcing? I don't know, maybe Tara freaking Vanderveer? She's a living legend who's done more for women's hoops than almost anyone else. And she's right here in the Bay Area. But instead, we got Yay Area! And that's why the Golden State Valkyries Expansion Draft Press Conference earns a well-deserved Airball Award. Because when it comes to lifting up women's voices, they missed the rim entirely. And finally, the Flagrant Foul Award. This week's Flagrant Foul Award goes to USC fans and the backlash against Mississippi State. By now, you've probably seen or heard about JuJu Watkins' season-ending injury during USC's tournament game against Mississippi State. Talk about a heartbreaking moment for women's basketball. Watkins, on a fast break, sandwiched between 2 Mississippi State players, goes down. She immediately grabs her right knee, writhing in pain, and a hush falls over the crowd. Watching from home, I couldn't help but blurt out, "Oh no!" After JuJu's injury, every time a Mississippi State player touched the ball, the Galen crowd booed loudly. Look, I get it. I'm still bummed about what happened to JuJu, but booing the opposing players? Not cool. Basketball is a physical game. It's not like the old days when women weren't even allowed to run and dribble at the same time. What happened to JuJu was an accident. No one on Mississippi State was trying to hurt her, and they clearly feel awful about what happened. But USC fans didn't want to cut them any slack. Congratulations to USC fans for earning a Flagrant Foul Award. I'm Kari Peterson, and you've been listening to Her Game, Her Voice. If you'd like to hear more episodes of Her Game, Her Voice, please follow or subscribe to the podcast. Subscribing and following the podcast is a mutually beneficial thing. It benefits you because you won't miss an episode, and it benefits me because, well, you won't miss an episode. Subscribing is easy. Just go to the Her Game, Her Voice show page on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Tap on the plus sign or click on follow to subscribe. And while you're on the show page, I would be eternally grateful if you would take a few seconds to give Her Game, Her Voice a great rating and/or review, and share an episode with a friend. Thanks again for listening, and let's get hoopin'!